looking at this idea of why your business plan will fail, and we're going to examine the 5 reasons that business plans fail. And we're going to look at what you can do to overcome those reasons for failure and actually the steps you need to take to achieve your goals. Now, we're going to be looking in general at these 5 reasons and coming over what you can do, some proactive steps you can take, and then we're going to draw it all together. So I encourage you to stick with us for the whole period, or come back and review that later on. But we're going to go through the 5 reasons, 5 common reasons why business plans fail and what you can do about it. So the 5 reasons I've chosen here are fairly common. And the first one is that you don't make a plan, that there is no actual plan, and that's why there is a failure. And often when you don't have a plan, there is a business failure that follows that situation. And that's something that we really want to avoid. So that's number 1. The second one is that goals are not specific. There's very general goals set, no specificness about it, no actual measurement, no way of knowing whether you're on track. And that's something that we're going to have a closer look at and unpack that in more detail. Number 3, failure to implement. Well, it's good to come up with a plan, it's good to have specific goals, but a lot of the time the business plans fail to help your business because they fail to be implemented. And that happens in a lot of businesses. Only about 10% of plans actually get implemented in businesses. So there's a big gap there. So once we've done the work, we've got specific goals. The problem is we just don't do anything with it. 4th reason I'm picking that why business plans fail is there's no accountability. So whenever we are accountable to people for our choices and our actions, we are more likely to follow through on those. And what tends to happen with small business owners when we come to doing our business plans, that we don't make ourselves accountable, and therefore we often push our goals backwards, our timetables backwards, and we don't get things done. And the 5th thing we're going to look at here for why businesses often fail, or sorry, business plans fail, is that there's no measurement of whether they're successful. There's no measurement against the target. There's no active way of measuring how successful are we doing with our plans, and do we need to revisit them? Do we need to change what we're doing to get a better outcome? And there are some of the things that cause business plans to fail. And of course, when the business plan fails, the outcome for the business, the success of the business, it's lower than it should be. You know, we can still have a successful business by chance, but that's not as common. The more successful businesses work hard for them. So we're going to look at what also is a successful business. What do you need to do to succeed in business, particularly small business owners? What are the things you need to do? Now, I've borrowed this list from Peter Towers, who's quite an experienced business advisor, has founded the ESS Biz Tools group, and he's produced quite a lot of really good information about what is needed to start a business and be successful. And I've borrowed this list from Peter. And there are a number of things on here about what are the characteristics of a successful business. And if we go through this list, there's quite a few things on here, but what we find is that most small businesses might do 2 or 3 of these things. Might do 2 or 3 of these things really well, but they will ignore the rest of those processes, all those key things that are necessary for a small business to succeed. And some of those things include, you know, how do we start? Like that first part before we actually start the business, getting advice before we start and starting on the right foot, you know, getting a good foundation before we start our business. Business plans, on which we're going to go into in a lot more detail. That's the purpose of what we're talking about here today. But business plans are included in the list of characteristics of a successful business, and that's a great thing. Budgets and cash flow forecasts, very, you know, important. All of these things are important, and well, we can unpack how all of these things work together. And we might actually save that for another series, and we'll go through those in more detail. Accounting records, easier today with a lot of the online accounting systems, making that process of capturing your accounting data easier, which also then means you can get better financial reporting. Reviewing the budgets and cash flows, we talked about preparing them, but you also need to review them, and this is very important. We've talked about this lack of measurement. Market surveys, doing market surveys and contacting your customers, finding out where your sales are coming from, what's going on in your business market. Very important, particularly at the moment where we're looking at how do we actually generate more sales. So those things are key. The business location, now not always the case, but in particularly in retail, the location can mean a big difference between success and failure as a business. So that's important. Updating products and technology and the knowledge. So it really depends on what line of business you're in, but as a professional advisor, there's an onus on me to continue to stay up to date, to continue to train and develop and be aware of new technologies, new skills. So for me, that being up to date is very important. Reviewing quality control procedures. Now, I won't go into too much detail here, but if we can deliver everything we do in our business in exactly the same way, at the same level of quality and get the same result, no matter who's doing it, that's going to be a better thing for our business, better outcome, better processes, better deliverables. And that's really important. Often overlooked by small businesses, but very important nonetheless. So hiring and keeping good staff, employees, employee management. When we talk to businesses about the three biggest concerns, more sales, better cash flow, and dealing with employees, the big three that come up. So hiring and keeping good staff, very important, and using financial data for managing the business. So this is where a lot of small business owners get lost, don't manage that data at all, or don't know how to interpret it and work sort of running the business blindly from a financial point of view, and knowing your customer. Now, they're all very important things, but today we're going to be focusing on business plans, which was one of the top of the list of things you need to do to be successful in your business. So we're going to unpack this idea of business plans and go into some of the reasons for failure, of why business plans don't achieve what they are supposed to achieve, and then how you can overcome that. So we're going to really dive in deep into some of those issues. But before we do, I just want to talk about this whole idea of advice. So a lot of businesses work in isolation. The business owner is there to do everything. And really, one of the things that's become very obvious during this recent period is that small business owners need advice. There are so many things that a small business owner doesn't have the experience or the expertise or the knowledge to do. And in a small business, they are everything. They are the person that does payroll, the person that does accounts receivable, production, scheduling, sales, marketing. So they do need to engage and utilize resources. And this is where small business is at a disadvantage to larger businesses, but we do need to make that accessible. And working with an advisor, working with your accountant, so working with us, the team at Pretium Solutions, we can help you here, because you can take advantage of our expertise, our experience, and also our experience with a wide range of business owners and industries. So we are well positioned to help you, and particularly in growing your business. Now, just while we're on the topic of planning, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. That's a well-known quote, Yogi Berra. I remember years ago going for what we used to call Sunday drives. We would get in the car and just go somewhere. And we might find something interesting, but chances are we'd just be driving around in circles for no particular reason, not very effective. If we know where we're going, if we go specifically to somewhere with a goal in mind, we're going to get there. We are going to take the right steps to get to that place, and we're going to have a much more enjoyable experience as a result. So we also set goals and for our business and work towards that. And challenging goals are what helps us grow what we enjoy. And when we achieve those things, it is really a good thing for us. We enjoy it. It makes us feel good. We have that sense of worth. We have that sense of knowing that we've actually achieved this. We made the work happen. We worked towards a goal. We achieved it. And look, the challenge is sometimes as good as the actual goal setting itself. So what can you do to achieve your expectations? So use the experience of other people. So tap in, use an accounting firm, particularly some of the accounting firms, modern accounting firms like Pretium Solutions, offer a wide range of services where we are not just experts in accounting, but we're also experts in advising businesses on how to grow profitably, sustainably, and effectively. And the business planning process is part of that that knowledge and experience that we share with our clients. So use us, use your professional advisors as a team. And one of the things we do here is we actually tap into our network of advisors and we make that available to our clients as part of our advisory board process. And if you'd like to know more about that, then there'll be a link in the show notes, which you can, and the webinar notes that you can follow. And I encourage you to have a closer look at that. So, but one of the things is you need to appreciate that as a business owner, you can't do everything and you are going to need to get outside advice and help. So I encourage you to do that. So to make a business plan happen, we need to have written goals, have a documented action plan, commit publicly to it, and you know, supportive friends are great, but you know, one of the things we do is we act as your accountability. You can commit to us and we'll hold you accountable with managing, you know, what are the results that you're achieving and how do they line up with your expectations and what you're planning and working towards. So that's where you need to be committed to your plan. So a lot of reasons for failure of business plans in the past is that there's been no commitment, no implementation. As I said before, I think only 10% of plans get implemented. And one of our roles here is to help you implement, improve your strategy and make sure it is a successful exercise, that you go through the process of planning and the outcome is that you have a much improved and stronger business.